My pleasure. It's like the afternoon here, so I appreciate you staying up late.
Oh, not a problem at all. Well, mate, I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations on this album. We've been playing the singles as they've come out on our show, and our listeners have absolutely fallen in love with you guys, so congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you for playing us as well, because at the end of the day, people don't hear music, they don't get to fall in love with it, and that's thanks to you guys, so thank you very much.
Ah, not a problem. So I've got to start off by asking, what's it like bringing an album out in the middle of a pandemic? Because it must feel really weird for you guys that the album is out there and you can't get out and do shows at the moment.
Yeah, dude, that's by far the biggest thing. Is like it's incredibly bittersweet. Like we watch people. We're watching people fall in love with the album on the internet and then not being able to give them anything extra. It's like there's always when you're a band, it's kind of like there's always like a 1-2. It's like you like the music, buy a shirt, or you like the music, come to a show. And at the moment, it's like it's hard because the show aspect, or meeting people. We're very hands on as a band. And annoyingly, it's like we'd love to meet every single person who's checked this album out at the merch desk, but there's just no way of making that a reality. And like you said as well, there is this kind of weird thing where like every day I wake up and I just go about my life like normal, but it's like I've kind of already forgotten how much work I put into this album, and like so it is a bit weird for sure.
Yeah, and also, like as you said, it's hard doing shows, but you guys did do an acoustic show online. Tell us a little bit about how that went.
Yeah. So yeah, it went well, man, but it's just not the same. We've done a few. I feel like even just throughout the pandemic, before the album dropped, I feel like quite a few people have like tried to do online shows or like stuff like that, but it's cool, but it's just not the same, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, definitely. They were doing comedy shows here online, and a lot of the comedians were saying, well, it didn't really work because there was no audience reaction. And of course, if you're a comedian, how are you supposed to know if your jokes are working if there's no laughter?
Exactly, bro. Yeah, and to be honest, you don't... It is very different with music because, you've kind of got to have the arrogance to just keep doing what you're doing and not really pay. If the crowd look a bit disinterested, you're not going to stop playing these songs. But yeah, at the same time though, it is very important to kind of gauge, or even just for performance's sake as well. You perform so much more when you know that the audience is with you.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it is a weird one, but hopefully we'll be back soon. So yeah.
That was my next question, actually. Have they given you a timeline for when you might be able to do live shows there? Because we're doing live shows here in Australia at the moment, but at the moment it's only, of course, Australian bands playing in Australia.
Yeah, of course, dude. And I'm so happy for you guys and for the bands from Australia as well. Like, I've got quite a few friends in like Australian bands, and like just watching them play, like seeing photos of them playing shows, it's just like the most wholesome, happy thing for me. So I'm glad to see some part of the world is back to normal. But yeah, for us, honestly, like I think we've got shows booked for like November. At the moment, it's just a case of if that happens, like I mean, there's projected perspective kind of maybe this will happen in 2 months, maybe this will happen in 3 months, but honestly, as far as I know, I think we'll know when we know.
Yeah, and of course, you guys have been selected to play at a pretty big festival in 2022. Tell us a little bit about that and how that feels for you.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's kind of weird because, like, obviously, it's so special and brilliant. I'm assuming you're talking about Download.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you know something I don't, but yeah, it's like it's weird because we were booked for Download 2020, and then it got cancelled, obviously, and we got rebooked for 2021, and now we're rebooked for 2022. So it's kind of like, as awesome as it is to be on it, it's like like I'm not gonna feel that excitement until I'm there. You know, because it's just like it's been 2 years of seeing my name on the poster, but knowing that it's not gonna kind of happen, I guess,
Yeah. Now, bringing it back to the album, tell us a little bit about the writing process for this album, because you guys must have felt a little bit of pressure this time around because of how well your first album went.
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, we felt a lot of pressure on the debut anyway. Like, I think, where we were stood, we're a young group of, like, Welsh kids, and we just signed to a label, and we had all this expectation on us and stuff like that. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for the debut. And I think for this one, we kind of thought, we aren't the biggest band on earth because of the debut. It's not a case of, like, having this unbelievably success. It wasn't like I'm trying to think of like a brilliant debut album, but you get what I mean. Like we didn't skyrocket too much, so it was more a case of just like, now that we haven't got too much pressure on our end, like let's just write kind of with more liberty, I guess, and I really think we benefited from that,
Yeah.
So there was a lot less pressure, which was really cool. And something interesting as well is, despite the whole pandemic, like, we'd not actually started work. We'd finished this album by the time that the pandemic had hit. So we'd finished in February, which means that not a single second of this album was actually influenced by COVID. And that's something I'm really proud of and really happy for.
Yeah, definitely. So what kind of things were influencing you when you were writing? Was it just life itself, or was there certain things there that you really felt like you needed to get down on paper?
Yeah, for me, I think it was just coming to grips with, honestly, being an adult, like I'm like, at the moment I'm 26. When I was writing these songs, I was like 23, 22, and like, I think for the most part, it was me kind of digesting just being an adult and coming to grips with life and realizing that, I'm going to have to someday kind of learn to get a job or whatever, and like coming to grips with things, really. And I think that made me think a lot about life and death, and it gave me quite an existential kind of outlook. And I'm grateful for that, because I think it made me kind of learn a lot about myself, which is really cool.
Yeah, even the album title is very thought-provoking. What was it that made you decide to go with that as an album title?
So the album title's got quite a weird story, because it is already a song. It's named after a song that existed in the 1930s. And basically, my grandmother mentioned that my great uncle had recorded a cover of that song back in like the 1950s. So it was this weird like moment where I realized that, like, not only did I have like a connection to this, not only was I not the first musician in my family, but I also had a weird connection to this song. And then when I listened to it, it just felt like really special, and we always try and achieve like a kind of a sense of timelessness with our music. And it just dawned on me, like, what is more timeless than a 90-year-old song that's just found its way to me through my nan, So it just felt like the right thing to do, and I'm really proud of the title, and also, I do a cover of the song at the end of the record as well, and I think that's a really special moment as well.
Yeah, what was that like, going and recording a song that means so much to your family? Did you kind of feel nerves when you went in to record that track?
Yes, it is a weird one, man. Yeah, because, like, back to the pressure thing, like, that was probably one of the biggest pressures that I put on myself with this record was, I think knowing that I didn't want to let anybody down, and like, a funny thing as well is, like, I play piano and sing on that song, but by no means am I some, like, brilliant musician, like, I'm very much like a self-taught pianist, and I remember that was a very stressful kind of hour of trying to capture those takes, because it was like, I can't rely on the boys to be tight on their instruments anymore, it's just me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned before as well about the whole thing about there's the not being able to tour and everything like that. There's normally a cycle with bands with albums where you record, you release, and then you hit the road. Because you weren't able to hit the road this time around, did that mean that you automatically started working on new material? Did you use the lockdown to start working on new songs even though you just recorded the album?
Well, yeah, yes and no, basically, because when we finished, like I said, we finished last February, and I came home and lockdown happened, and I was really like depressed, and like I just remember thinking to myself, like, I've just finished writing an album, like I don't want to write another album right now, I kind of want a little bit of time. But it's been so bloody long that, like, yeah, we're working on album 3 now. So I did kind of manage to have the midpoint of like taking time off, but also enjoying the freedom of just working on new music, So yeah, and I'm really excited for the future. Once again, I feel like whenever we sit down and write music, it always feels a bit more special than the last time.
Definitely. Now, when things open back up, what are the plans for you guys? Are you going to get out and do some local shows? And if it opens up even wider, would you guys consider a tour to Australia in the future as well?
Dude, well, we had an Australian tour booked for last April. And that was like the first tour to get cancelled. And that was a really like sobering moment. So at the moment, Australia very much feels like a white whale, because we really, really, really want to come out, and we were so close last year, So yeah, Australia is always on the cards as a place that not only do we have some really, really cool friends as well as like fans, but it's just a beautiful country I've never been to personally as well. So definitely looking to do that. At the moment, though, we're just hoping to play the UK, basically. We'll just take whatever we can get for the time being. And then as soon as the world is open, like, America, Australia, Japan, like, nowhere is off the books, really. So we're really, really, just hoping to do everything we can.
Awesome. Well, that is great news. Well, mate, I think it's time for us to play In Circles again on our show. So is there anything you would like to say to our listeners out there, not only before they take a listen to this great track, but for all the listeners out there that have already bought the album as well?
Well, to anyone who's even checked us out, and to, yourself included, for playing us, like, just thank you so much. We're so grateful of the support. Releasing an album during a pandemic is a real kicker. So we appreciate it. But In Circles is one of my favorite songs on the album. It's very much like it's kind of got like its own kind of vibe on the record, I think, and because of the kind of like cyclical nature of the song as well, it feels like quite a cool kind of loopy kind of track, I guess. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lucas, stay safe, and hopefully we do get to see you guys in Australia in the not too distant future. And thank you so much for chatting to us tonight.
Thanks for having me, man. Have a great day.
Not a problem. Yeah, you have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Nice one, bro.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.